Hello and welcome back, everyone, to the Level Cap podcast, where Brad counts to 1, 2, 3, and clap.
One, two, three, clap.
Yay.
Did I do it right?
Yes, you did. Here's a gold star that says you tried in Comic Sans. Are you proud of your gold star, Brad? Are you?
I suppose so. I did try. I don't know if it was in Comic Sans, but there you go.
How do you try in Comic Sans? How do you try in any?
You said
font?
it, not me.
I think you misunderstand. There's a language barrier here. I meant the words you tried were written in Comic Sans.
Okay, well, my clap was also written in Comic Sans, so there. When I clapped, it was like the cartoon status, cartoon sound bubble popped out, and it said clap in Comic Sans.
In all lowercase.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Gosh. This sounds like a bad episode of something from Homestuck or something like that.
Oh, I don't know. Well, anyway, let's get this party started.
Let's get this party started, and welcome back to the podcast, where we will have a wonderful docket for all of you. Of course, we have our Game Club Game of the Week, our Character of the Week, and some questions that need to be answered, as well as some news that needs to be delivered. So, Brad, I know that last week we hyped everyone up with the best game ever called Anime Fidget Spinner Battle. I then promptly played it.
We're not going to talk about that anymore.
Are you sure? Because I'm going to tell everyone that I spent 2 hours playing it and then deleted it from my phone.
Well, you must not have gotten any good draws. No,
yeah.
I did not. I did not go play that. I did not go play that.
Did you resist its thrall, its mystical allure?
Yeah. I managed to resist that. Although it does provide some good ideas for some future spin-off games. If you know what I mean.
Oh, spin-off. It has to be a Millennium Blades spin-off.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Maybe next year for April Fools. They abandoned their card games and they all go to fidget spinners. Yeah. That'll be the name of the game. Millennium Blades spin-off.
Yes. Okay, and then you can introduce a new character whose hair looks like a fidget spinner. And then and then
I've never actually. I think I've seen one of these once, but I've never actually used one. So I don't totally understand the hype. I guess this is the old man in me, who just doesn't get it. But anyway,
Brad,
here it goes.
You're so disconnected from our world's youth.
I know. I need to do what all the hip kids are doing.
Yeah, spin fidget spinners, post memes, all that stuff. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's abandon memes and fidget spinners and let's move on to our Game Club game for this week. Because, ironically enough, instead of spinning fidgets, you're throwing dice in Divinity: Original Sin.
Yeah, this is are you really throwing dice? I mean, this is the video game RPG that we're talking about here,
well,
right?
Technically, I'm just saying that because it's basically a CRPG, right?
I guess the dice are under the table. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this game, Divinity: Original Sin. I actually played this with Chad, one of my neighbor, and who also does some work programming with us. But we had a great time playing Original Sin.
Really?
Yeah, you can play it 2-player. Like the
co-op.
co-opness of it is really one of the big draws. There are very few co-op RPGs, but there you go.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I don't play it co-op because I have no friends. But it's pretty fun. What class did you pick?
I think I was the wizard. And he played ranger. But then my main character ended up becoming the lady with the sword that you meet, who's like a paladin. Because she's just so much better than my wizard at everything. Okay. I just ended up sending her off to do all the work.
So you were controlling her like all the time?
Pretty much, yeah.
I see. My character, I actually made a custom class in my first playthrough because I'm an edgelord like that. My character
was the class actually edgelord? Is that what you called it?
No. He's a wizard. But he's well, the theme of it's an RPG, right? So when I make a character
Yeah.
in an RPG, I always have like the story or whatever. The story is this is one of my like go-to characters when I make an RPG game character. His name is Melrath Olgrim, and he goes around saying that he's a wizard, but he actually has literally zero magic.
Mm-hmm.
So he's actually a rogue,
Okay.
but all of his equipment is wizard stuff.
It sounds like kind of character to be difficult to express outside of a tabletop RPG.
Yeah, it is. So, but I got him to somewhat work. I gave him all rogue skills, but all of his equipment is wizard stuff, and
Mhm.
he can only cast spells using like scrolls, because he doesn't actually know any magic.
I see.
Yeah, but his
Well,
intelligence
it's a pretty traditional D&D character. I played a guy like that once who was an artificer, and let me tell you, 3.5 edition artificers. That's quite a thing because you have to do the spreadsheet math between games to know what kind of spells you're able to craft. It's quite an endeavor to play an artificer, but it was rewarding. I had like all the spells.
So you were broken.
No, well, I was broken by this orc's axe who killed me in one shot. It was pretty bad.
Sad life.
But it was like the end of the campaign anyway, so.
Oh, was your name Runica? Is this the canon ending to Runica's life?
No.
No. All right. Yeah. So Divinity Original Sin is a pretty fun game. I personally like the combat. Okay, so one thing that makes this really different from a lot of CRPGs in my experience is that CRPGs tend to be real time. Like if you play stuff like Pillars of Eternity or oh, I keep forgetting. See, the moment I think about Pillars of Eternity, I forget the old ones. Baldur's Gate and all that other stuff. They're usually real time, and
I didn't play a lot of those actually.
Oh, really? I played some of them, but they take a long while to play. You know. I guess you wouldn't really play a CRPG if you can just play a tabletop RPG at this point, right? Like at this point in time.
Yeah, I suppose so.
At this point in time, it's like the freedom that the tabletop offers you is so much better than the constricted nature of a CRPG.
Yeah, but there's a lot of preparation too. Like when you go into one of those, you got a full story. That you can explore. You don't have to wait on somebody else, and also you don't have any other party members to steal the spotlight from you. You're really the main character, and you know it.
Yeah, that's true. Especially in Divinity Original.
I think there's advantages. Yeah, there's advantages to both.
There is advantages to both. So among all CRPGs, this is one of the few, I think, that does its combat turn-based. And I think that's something that's good for it. Because it did its combat turn-based, but not tile-based. So you can do a lot of interesting things with the mechanics. And it doesn't require you to have like StarCraft level APM to feel like you're playing well. Because if you're playing stuff like Pillars of Eternity, Brad, you cannot imagine you control 6 party members at the same time, all in real time, and all of them have different skills and skill rotations. So it's kind of like playing Warcraft.
Final Fantasy 12 did that pretty well, though. Like you could program your characters, and they would fight autonomously when you weren't controlling them, and they would fight according to the strategies you came up with, and it worked out great.
Yeah, but that's because of the Gambit system, right? Like
Gambits were great.
Yeah, because you could code your teammates essentially. That's what it meant, right?
You gave them combat routines. I thought it was the greatest system ever. As somebody with a background in programming, I know a lot of people really didn't like 12, but I thought it was great.
I thought it was great too. But then again, I am also a programmer, so we may have some bias here. But yeah, most CRPGs, what they do is like garbage. They have like preset 4 patterns, like aggressive, defensive, adapt to the situation. So it's all like pretty boring, and you don't get to make a strategy. So it's either you play literally just your character and have the AI dumb around, whatever, or you play everyone and you micro. So it's either you're playing Persona 3 original, where all your party members are stupid AI, or you play StarCraft. Take your pick. It's not that good. Divinity makes it really good though because it's turn-based, so you can control everyone and still feel like
you get to come up with strategies. I remember when we would do things like, well, you shoot the toxic arrow, and then I'm going to throw the fireball, and then they're going to be poisoned and they're going to explode, and then like you come up with all these strategies, like, and then shoot, this like electric cloud in the middle, so it takes them 4 turns to walk over to us, and they'll die from the fire while they're, in while they're in this electric cloud because of the paralysis.
Yeah.
It's really good. Like they there's a lot of strategy you can make in that game, and especially like working with your teammates in synergy. So I think really the way to play it is 2-player. It's kind of intended as a cooperative RPG. But I had a good time with it, and I would encourage other players to give it a try. To try out Divinity Original Sin. Super good.
Really, I recommend everybody to try it too, especially if you're a fan of tabletop RPGs. It might not have the same amount of freedom, but it's way more free than than typical JRPGs/RPGs, because you can do stuff like pickpocket literally.
It's about as free as you get outside of like Skyrim and Morrowind, those kind of games.
Yeah, because you can literally pickpocket everyone, attempt to kill every NPC. You can like loot whatever. Like I remember there's this one puzzle wherein there is a guard guarding this like stock room filled with weapons and stuff. And you can do this entire series of events wherein you convince one guard that another guard badmouthed him, so they fight. And while they're fighting, the guard guarding the door has to break them up, so that opens that path up so you can pick the lock without anyone seeing you. It's so like if you like doing that elaborate RPG tabletop-esque puzzle solving when it comes to like picking locks, looting stuff. It's pretty fun for that. That's the most fun I have, actually. Sometimes even more than the combat.
A lot of times there's not even like monologue protection or anything. Like you'll walk into a room and the big bad will just start talking, and you can just pull out your bow and arrow and just shoot them right in the face mid-sentence. And like they won't start attacking you until they finish their speech. So you can like walk around, set up traps, and like we did this to one of the bosses. Like we would just walk around and we'd set up all these traps while he's doing his speech, and then we'd walk back to the back of the arena and then just start the fight. And and then as soon as he steps forward, everything explodes and half his life is gone.
Oh my god!
I don't know how you beat the game without strategies like that, though. It seems kind of like they expect you to do that sort of thing.
Well, yeah, because
it's pretty tough. Like the game is not easy and not for the faint of heart.
No, not for the faint of heart at all. So, Brad, at the end of the day, I recommend Divinity Original Sin. And do you?
Oh yeah, give it a try. It's good.
Yeah, dude, I love this game. I mean, like not as much as I love Final Fantasy 3, but that's a story for another day. All right. So let's move on to our character of the week. So Divinity Original Sin actually has you, scouring these lands for all of these star stones or whatever. So, but our character of the week doesn't really care about that kind of stuff. In fact, all he wants is for his country to be nice again, because our character of this week is Rexan. Caringort?
Yes.
Caringort Rexan?
Yes, Lord Caringort Rexan.
Caringort.
Okay. Caringort, yeah.
So Rexan is his last name?
Yeah, Rexan is his last name. But a couple characters, usually the characters who have titles, end up using their last names. Like Berman uses his last name instead.
Alexian.
Let's see,
Technically,
else?
Alexian is only last name.
Well, Alexian is his only name. Once they assume the throne, they give up their first names. Okay. So, like, when Marjoram ascends, she'll just be Alexian. She'll be Queen Alexian.
That's pretty cool. Wait, so what's the current... Yeah. It's the current Alexian, like, Percival? Was that his original name?
Percival was his given name before he became king.
Oh, I see. So, wait, does this mean Rexan's name is Carrie? Can we call him Carrie?
I don't know. I'm sure all his MOBA friends call him that. Anyway, I don't know.
Confirmed, Rexan plays ADC.
Yeah, I think. Anyway.
So tell us the lore. Tell us the lore.
Yeah. So Rexan is is the leader of Gesselheim, the Emperor of Gesselheim, or rather the Overlord of Gesselheim, which is this big country to the south. It's mostly wasteland. There's not a lot of good farming or anything, or there's a lot of metal, a lot of mining. Natural resource there. And most of the citizens are either Vom or undead or elementals. There's not a lot of humans in this part of the world. And communities tend to be small, tightly knit, like city-states or even independent villages that aren't bound by a central government. And so the most of the land is run by warlords who just, who sweep through and, say, oh, we're here to collect taxes, and protect you from bandits. And then they steal a bunch of stuff and move on. Pretty traditional, like pre-kingdom type, feudal living.
Okay.
Anyway, so
Gesselheim confirmed Japan.
yeah, so into this world comes Rexan. He's from Gesselheim. His family was like a noble family, kind of landowners. They had serfs that worked in their estates, etc. And then one day, all of his mansion was burned. His family was killed in this peasant revolt, and he was forced into hiding. Anyway, some unspecified stuff happens. Years later, he returns as a warlord to take over the country and reunify. And he manages to do this through like a sequence of events, which is not fully like fleshed out, but will probably be the subject of some other game project that I've got on the back burner.
Ooh.
But he manages to unify the entire country. But Gesselheim is poor and starving, and everyone is all they've got is metal. So they do what they've always done, which is invade the north for food and resources. So they go on this big war band northern invasion, and that was called the Centennial War. And this continued until and this was in about the year 700. This continued until 4 heroes came to the south, one from each of the different northern countries, and assassinated the overlord. And so Rexan is dead. Byron tries to take over.
Doesn't.
Byron fails to take over.
Sad.
And as always, Byron fails to seize power, and the country collapses. So when we see the country in the modern era, the only remnant of the Gesselheim Empire is Rubara, the old capital, which is run by Demetrius. And he is, kind of living his life, pining for the glory days of the old empire, when Hepzibah comes to him and says, I'm going to try and resurrect the overlord. And he's like, oh, well, gee golly, let's do it. And so he gets all the he gets all the resources and everything that she needs together, and funds this giant magic experiment. And they manage to bring back the overlord from wherever he went,
despite the best efforts of all of our war characters.
Yes, despite Magdalena and Kalistar and Seth and Vanna all working against this.
Okay.
She succeeds, he comes back, and now he is working on reunifying Gesselheim again, and most of the northern countries think that he's going to go to war again, just like in the legends from 300 years ago. What his actual plan is yet to be revealed, because that kind of happens in the future. But there hasn't been any aggression yet. Most of the aggression has actually been preemptive from the north, from kingdoms like Jeffri's, which Alexian is very worried that he's going to be invaded, and so is building an army to deal with the overlord.
I see.
And of course, the Holy Empire, Sanghalim in the west, they also are pretty worried about this and are building up their armies as well to deal with a potential southern invasion. But yeah, those are the kind of the national politics around Rexan. Okay. In terms of personal, he is very much a populist sort of leader. He appeals to the common people, not to the lords. He is definitely a tyrant in the sense that he has absolute power, and if any of the other warlords or leaders or anything defy him, then they're out. In a very literal sense, they're just dead.
Oh wow.
So he's not like oh, like this nice guy, like let's have some political discourse. Like he has absolute power, and kind of rules with an iron fist. But people do like him, and he does keep them fed. He does keep tabs on their needs. He's not just about being in charge, which is kind of a departure from what you'd expect.
So it's interesting because the person who actually asked for Rexan to be the character of the week actually had some questions related to the character. The questions are like along the lines of whether Rexan is motivated by the plight of the people in Gesselheim, or is simply taking advantage of their issues to pursue personal power, or whether or not it's not actually that black and white, and there's some elements of both. So
I think it is definitely that he is interested in the plight of the people. He lived as a noble, he lived as a peasant after his exile.
mm-hmm.
He and he really cares about the country, which has always been the world loser in Indians. They've always been oppressed by the other countries, or treated unfairly by the other countries, or just thought like all the other countries think that they're this evil land of zombies and monsters, which they actually kind of are, but
they're not evil.
Maybe they deserve a chance.
They're not evil per se, right?
Yeah,
they just have their own agendas.
Yeah, but it is kind of this
movie monster
violent,
place.
Unstructured third world country.
I see.
Almost, and he wants to bring order to that and make it into a modern nation. And so that's his real motivation, is to see his homeland be on the same footing as the other countries in the world.
Oh, okay. So he just wants to have a fair chance for his homeland.
Yeah, he wants his people to have some pride in their country.
So,
but yeah,
what was your goal with Rexan's character design?
Well, the characters in that station were actually paired. So like Schechter and Eligor are opposites. And actually Alexian came first, and Rexan was designed to be his opposite. Alexian's ability is that when he hits you, he gives you buff tokens. So Rexan's ability is that when you hit him, you get debuff tokens.
Yeah.
And that fell into place pretty cleanly.
Yeah, and I feel like it was a very fun parallel to run. We should really ask about the other pairs, but let's save that for another video. So,
yeah.
In the end, Brad, do you think people should give Rexan a try if they're ever playing with their copy of Devastation?
No, don't play Rexan. He's too good for his hands to be soiled by the likes of you peasants. What do you expect me to say? like there's only one answer to that question. Yes, play Rexan. He's cool. We designed him for you to play, and if you've got a copy of Devastation in front of you, you paid to play him, so play him.
Play him. He's fun. And that's coming from the two people who helped design this character. Hey. or don't play him, whatever you filthy Jeffrian. What's a person from Jeffries called?
Yeah, Jeffrian. Jeffrian that's their adjective.
You filthy Jeffrians. Don't play me. All right.
Let's move on to our 99 questions segment. You got to start thinking which question is going to be the 99th question. But anyway,
the 99th question is: do you like Hot Pockets? And podcast.
All right, go on. Let's do the questions.
All right. I remember the Power Play Kickstarter had a fraudulent backer that pledged a big chunk of money with a stolen card. What are some other difficult challenges you have faced with using Kickstarter?
That was certainly the biggest challenge, and that was kind of that's a story unto itself. But here's the takeaway from this: never allow more than a third of your funding to be pledged by one backer, because that's not very safe.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
white sweat.
Yeah. But yeah, aside from that, other challenges, I mean, not pre-calculating our shipping was probably the biggest challenge that ever hit us.
Mm-hmm.
And when we did the first BattleCon game, we just got we planned for the cost of printing the game and the cost of really just for the cost of the game. And so when it came time to ship, it was like, $5 to $10 a box.
Oh, a nightmare.
And we'd already gone over budget on the box because I didn't know a lot about printing, and I made some serious mistakes getting my quote and designing the box. So the first edition of War ended up costing us about $10,000 more than I expected, which is fine because we had all that stretch goal money. But then it cost me $10,000 more to deliver it, and because I had lost all that money on the production, I didn't have the money to ship it. And that was a really tough time, and we almost went under on our very first box. But luckily, family bailed me out, and I managed to ship the game and then recoup enough money to repay all those bailouts. But it's tough. Like when you're doing business for the first time, there's a lot of little costs that are easy to forget about, and you have to be really careful with that kind of stuff.
Okay. Wow. Well, at least you made it through, and you're here now. We're about to get some trials all up in here. I can't wait for my boss.
Yeah. It shouldn't be too long now. Oh yeah, there's another time too when we had product that just didn't ship. Like we spent, I guess it must have been like $150,000 on Pixel Tactics and BattleCon, the reprints for War. And those just ended up sitting on a dock in China for 4 months due to factory error, factory mismanagement. And so like the games didn't come in, and we were just out of money because we had locked up so much in product stock. So I ended up having to downsize pretty greatly, get rid of a lot of our staff and we got rid of our facility. So now we do our shipping through a fulfillment agency, and I just work out of a home office with contractors on the internet. And I think it was a necessary step. I think it would have happened anyway, eventually. Mm-hmm. But being in such a strange place, like, I mean, I literally owed like $250,000 to people around the world, and like you think your credit card debt is bad, like that actually happened to me, and I was like, how am I going to get out of this? What am I going to do? Oh my god. But again, friends and family pulled through, helped me out with that. I got on a payment plan. We were very lucky that War and Pixel Tactics were so successful because we recouped all those costs and more when we actually delivered the product. But these kind of things can happen, and I thought it was like the end when that happened, and like. Not just like the end of level 99 games. I thought I was going to have to go live out on a farm somewhere where people couldn't find me.
Oh no, Brad. Off the grid. Away from the law.
And change my name because I couldn't live with the shame of failing everybody. It was a pretty dark time in my life, I got to say. Oh. And I don't think I would have made it without the support of everybody close to me. So that to say, bad stuff can happen if you are not careful, if you do not, if you don't, cross all your T's and dot all your I's when you're doing your planning, and just because of like forces of nature or the mistakes made by other people unrelated to you. So, keep things, on a tight rein, and, make sure you don't spend all your money, at one time on one thing. So a lot of lessons learned. Thankfully, we have been doing really well lately, and we don't have those kind of issues piling up on us.
Oh, that's good.
But it's so easy to fall. And anyway, all that to say, I owe a lot to the people that have helped me carry through in those tough times.
So you're saying the power of friendship literally worked?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a bit deeper than friendship.
Oh wow, the power of family.
Yeah. It's really, yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, enough dwelling on things like that.
Let's move on to the next question then. How much time do you spend gaming outside of projects you're currently working on?
Probably too much. I do play. I go out to play games about twice a week.
Wow.
Board games, and I play video games in the evening. Most nights for an hour or so.
Hots.
Yeah, not. I try not to always do HOTS. I was actually playing Ori and the Blind Forest the other day.
Ooh, that's a good game.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm comparing it to Hollow Knight. So far, I think I'm enjoying the world of Hollow Knight a little bit more, but Ori does seem to does move in a really fluid and unique way.
Yep.
Where Hollow Knight is much more like here's what you expect.
Yeah.
Like Ori, the game doesn't even really start until you get your double jump, and then you really see what it's about.
Yeah. It controls really nice.
Yeah, it feels good. It's a good game.
Yep. So, how much time do I spend gaming inside of projects I'm working? Ooh,
Yeah.
I spend a lot. Again, like Brad, probably too much. Because the thing is, unlike Brad, I don't actually make board games for a living. So projects I'm currently working on are literally limited to all the gameplay I need to play to make Pixel Tactics Online videos, BattleCon videos, probably Exceed videos once I get there. So
And these videos are great, by the way. I've really enjoyed the Pixel Tactics videos, and
yeah,
once we get deeper into BattleCon Online, the engine is actually like Cameron and Chad think they'll have it hooked up probably by the end of this week, and we'll be able to play matches against the dummy.
that'll be so great. I'll
So
be able to show
it's
it off.
going to be pretty cool. It's going to be pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. All right, and here's our last question. Let's take a break from all this board game related real life stuff and let's escape into this question, which is your favorite Mega Man game and why?
Well, I think I might be the only fan, but for me, Mega Man 5 is got a special place in my heart because it's the one that I actually owned. I got when I was a kid. I rented Mega Man 4 from Blockbuster. I liked it a whole bunch. I said, "Dad, get me this game." He came back. He's like, "Well, they didn't have that, so I got you this," and it was Mega Man 5. And I played so much Mega Man 5. I really fell in love with the characters and the genre from that game. So so Mega Man 5 is my favorite. How about you, Marco? What's your favorite?
It's gonna sound weird, okay, but it's a big toss up between Mega Man X and Mega Man X8. So
wow, that's a big gap.
That's a big gap, right? So Mega Man X is like probably the quintessential Mega Man game. Like if you think modern Mega Man, it's Mega Man X because that's where they introduce power armors. That's where they introduce Mavericks. That's where they introduce
wall jumps,
dashes,
innovation.
Wall jumps and dashes, and of course it has the Hadouken, which is the best thing, right? But the thing is, I played Mega Man X after I played Mega Man X8. So I actually got into Mega Man really late in my life because, again, I'm a relatively young person. Like, I'm 22 right now. So that means, like, when I was, like, 10 years old or something, it was literally early 2000s. So I was already on PS2 era or something like that at that point. So I got to play Mega Man X8, and it was fun because it was a game that my brother and I used to play. So we would go home from school and we would like both hook up the PS2 and play Mega Man X8, and we would do like every time one of us died, we'd switch controllers. So that's how it happened. It was pretty fun. I like it because it's the Mega Man that has 3 characters and you could switch between them mid stage. So that was pretty fun. But I will admit now that I'm older that Mega Man X8 is the objectively inferior game to Mega Man X because X8.
But I think the key takeaway here is that it's our sentiments that made these games that make it our favorite game. It's not the actual gameplay. It's the time in our lives that we spent playing this game and the story behind it that really made it special to us.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, that's a lot of these games, isn't it? That's why you end up loving certain games, and why I will defend Final Fantasy III to the end of the world, even if a lot of people don't agree with me.
Well, I think it's the reason too that we play a lot of modern games, and we're like, "Oh, this isn't as good as the games they used to make." But it really is. Like in a purely technical sense, all your games are so much better, but they don't capture the same moment in our lives. And I don't think that that's I think we have an expectation subconsciously that it will, and it just doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, I guess you lose. I guess it's also because you lose the childlike wonder, Because at this point, no matter how realistic the graphics will seem, sometimes it just doesn't captivate you like, pixel graphics did when you were 8 or something like that.
Yeah, and you're not gonna have your brother sitting there with you all day on Sunday to play it either.
No,
That's
especially since he moved
it's
out.
just not the same.
Yeah, it's just not the same. You miss those times. So that pretty much does it for our 99 questions segment, where we have 99 questions eventually, and once we get there, Brad and I will turn into our edgy dark selves.
We go Super Saiyan. Like, I don't. Maybe you go Edgelord.
So I go Edgelord, you go Super Saiyan. We rename it to the Cap Level Podcast, and then we'll see what goes from there. So let's move on.
There's a picture of a hat on the logo. Yep.
Oh no.
It's a hat with a level bar, like they use in construction.
Yeah. Or the hat just gets smoked on it.
I guess.
Like
anyway.
Let's move on to our final segment, our News 99, where news will be delivered into the train station that is your earlobes. Mind, yeah, there. The mind station that is your trains. Brad, give us the hot-baked news that will fill our palates with wonderful information.
The train station of your palate in your earlobes with information. Yeah.
Yes.
So, what other news? Argent the Consortium, the reprint campaign will be launching very, very, very soon. If it's not already launched when this goes up. This is straight reprint, but we do have a small mini expansion to add to the game and an upgrade kit if you got the first edition. So if you want to get the upgraded bases, all that kind of stuff, check it out. If you go to our website, it'll be along the top bar. It'll say like, oh, we've got a Kickstarter up right now. Check it out.
Oh.
And then you can click on the link and check it out.
Shout outs to Trey.
Yeah. So that's that. We are currently finishing up the art and graphics for Terran Encounters, so look out for that shortly after Gen Con. Past Terran Encounters, we're going to be doing the Imperial Spells and Steam, and after that, probably 7th Cross. And then we are currently working on Pixel Tactics Online and BattleCon Online. Pixel Tactics is coming along quite well. We're working on the menus for that right now. Once the menus are done, we're going to move to open beta. You'll be able to play the game, check it out, and then and pre-order the worlds, which are going to be coming out shortly after.
Yes.
For BattleCon Online, we are finishing up the battle screen. Once we get the battle screen done, we'll be moving to Alpha, where our backers for that project and those who pre-ordered the game will be able to play it in Alpha. Get some feedback, put in all of the fancy animations, the win and loss screens, start working on a few more characters to release over time, and then we'll put that into beta and start launching that. So we got some very exciting video games coming up in the near future as well.
Woot woot. Speaking of which,
so lots of cool stuff.
Speaking of which, my news, which is also cool stuff, is that I'll be making videos that keep all of you updated on the progress of all of those video game related stuff. So BattleCon Online videos.
Some of those videos are already out. You can check out the previews. You posted them on the blog on the main website.
Yep.
Right?
So if you don't want to watch a video, there's a short text blurb, telling you what the characters are all about. But if you want to watch them in action, you can watch the video that's also embedded at the end of the blog post. Last week, well, not last week. So by the time this podcast comes out, last week I released the Luca preview video, which is showing you the Luca leader as well as the hero counterpart, which is the wizard. It's hilarious because sometimes you look at these cards and you don't know what they can do until you bring them into the game, and Luca's one of those characters. And in the video I show you how atrocious this character can seem. Brad, if you haven't watched the video, it's basically like 20 seconds of Luca just casting alchemists over and over.
Oh my goodness!
And over again.
That sounds pretty epic. Yeah, definitely the casino archetype. If you are a Hearthstone fan, you'll get that out of the wizard leader.
Yeah.
Because you can keep summoning back cards that have been removed from play. Super cool. He's a lot of fun. The other one, Hekech, the assassin. definitely shows off some of the technical options that you get from that card.
Mm-hmm.
These videos are a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So, and Marco, you're posting them weekly?
Yep, I am posting them weekly. There should be another one coming this week if you're listening to this podcast. There's a lot of
what day do they go up?
They go up every Friday, my time, so that should be around Thursday your time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, look out for them on Thursday then, and well, hopefully you'll get a chance to play Pixel Tactics Online yourself very soon.
Which you can if you just look at the description of every single one of the videos I post.
Oh, you post the playtest link?
Yeah, you gave me the go-to to get a lot of people in for testing, so I did.
Oh, right, yeah. So there's no hope to it. You too can become a playtester for Pixel Tactics Online. Check it out.
Yeah. And that pretty much does it for our News 99 segment. And that pretty much does it as well for our Level Cap podcast this week. I hope all of you had your palates filled with the train of information that came from my mouth as well as Brad's. This is degenerated.
This just gets weirder and weirder every week.
But you still love it.
We need a reset. I guess maybe that's what the whole 99 thing will be about.
Yeah, well,
anyway,
when we get there, I will start being normal. You know, instead of talking like this, I will only speak like this.
You'll start becoming gradually more and more normal each week until we get back to 0.
Oh no, it'll be horrible. Marco will not make jokes or be weird. He will only speak normally and act like a host from an actual legitimate podcast. That's boring, Brad.
That's pretty creepy too.
Oh my
Wait, what do you mean legitimate podcast? This is a legitimate podcast. It's totally legitimate. What is?
No,
you know, let's just move on. Let's just move on from that comment and pretend you didn't say that.
Okay, I can edit it out. See, I have that power, Brad. Nobody will know.
All right. Anyway, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week for more Level Cap podcast.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.